Today is one for the history books. Donald J. Trump is sworn in as the 47th president of the United States. After 4 years of Biden fumbling through the presidency like he forgot his keys, America is finally getting a hard reset. This isn't your average inauguration. It's a seismic shift back to leadership with a spine. And Trump's not easing into it either. With close to 200 executive orders locked and loaded, he's about to undo Biden's policies faster than Hunter misplaces a laptop. Now, today we're diving into everything this historic day means. We'll talk about Trump's plan to secure the border, crank up energy production, and trigger the left with every stroke of his pen. And don't worry, we'll also have some fun unpacking the left's inevitable meltdown because, they're already rehearsing their next end of democracy monologue. So buckle up, folks. America's about to get a whole hell of a lot more interesting. Now, thanks to freezing weather, for the first time since 1985, the inauguration ceremony has been moved indoors to the Capitol Rotunda. Fitting because Trump thrives in situations where the temperature is icy. Just ask CNN. J.D. Vance will be sworn in as vice president, while Carrie Underwood will perform America the Beautiful. And somewhere the left is spiraling over the sheer audacity of it all. As for the guest list, former presidents like Barack Obama are showing up to maintain tradition. Though Michelle has said she will be absent, maybe she has better things to do, or maybe she just doesn't want to sit through another Trump speech. Sounds like Big Mike got all in her feels. And let's not forget the security. With the media hyping threats like they were auditioning for a new season of 24, D.C. is locked down tighter than Gavin Newsom's COVID restrictions. But here's a real showstopper. Trump is hitting the ground running with close to 200 executive orders. Immigration reform, done. Energy independence, back on the menu. DEI initiatives, bye-bye. He's essentially Marie Kondoing Biden's policies. If it doesn't spark joy for America, get on out of here. Now, the day before the inauguration, Trump held a victory rally at Capital One Arena, which was a pure spectacle, and included performances by the Village People. And with a price tag north of $200 million, this is officially the most expensive inauguration in history. Leave it to Trump to make even the swearing-in ceremony feel like the Super Bowl halftime show. And let's not overlook the significance of today landing on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. A reminder that even in a deeply divided nation, we can come together to accomplish great things. Now, whether you love him or hate him, one thing is clear. Trump is back, and the next 4 years are going to be the greatest years of this country's history. Now, on this special day, I think it's also important to talk about how Trump's ascension back into power was one of the most incredible comebacks in the history of American politics. It wasn't just a campaign, it was a battle royale against the odds. From relentless legal battles to attempts to bar him from running, Trump faced every obstacle with a determination that left his critics baffled and his supporters energized. First, the legal battles. Trump wasn't just running for president. He was running while under siege by an avalanche of indictments and lawsuits, many pushed by Democrat judges and prosecutors determined to stop him at any cost. In May 2024, he made history as the first former president convicted of a crime, facing 34 felony counts related to falsifying business records. But let's be real. This wasn't about justice. It was a lawfare, plain and simple. A political weapon wielded to try to derail his campaign. And instead of folding under the pressure, Trump turned these attacks into a rallying cry. He exposed a coordinated effort to persecute him, not because of any real crimes, but because he dared to stand up to the political establishment. His message resonated deeply with millions of Americans who saw these charges as proof of just how far the left would be willing to go to silence their opposition. The more they try to take Trump down, the more people rallied behind him, proving that nothing inspires Americans like the fight for freedom and fairness. Trump didn't just endure this assault, he thrived in it, turning a calculated effort to destroy him into one of the most powerful underdog stories in modern political history. Then there were the constitutional challenges. Several states tried to keep Trump off the ballot, citing the 14th Amendment clause about barring individuals involved in an insurrection. Courts in places like Colorado and Illinois ruled him ineligible, leading to a legal showdown that escalated all the way to the Supreme Court. And in a unanimous decision, the court ruled in Trump's favor, clearing the path for him to run nationwide. It was a decisive victory, not just for Trump, but for the millions of Americans who saw this for what it was. An attack on their right to choose their leader. And let's not forget the media, the self-proclaimed defenders of democracy who were in full-blown attack mode from the start. They called Trump a criminal, a traitor, and even a dictator, running with debunked narratives like the Russia collusion hoax, and blaming him for January 6th as if he personally led the charge. They pushed fake scandals about veterans, secret nuclear documents, and tax mysteries, all designed to sink his chances. But Trump flipped the script. By exposing their lies and bias, he showed Americans what they already suspected. The media wasn't just after him, they were after anyone who challenged the establishment. Instead of tearing him down, their hysteria only fueled his campaign, proving once again that Trump thrives under pressure. Finally, there's a cultural war he had to fight. Trump wasn't just battling Democrats, he was also up against Hollywood, big tech, and a wave of cancel culture determined to erase him. I mean, he was banned off of most social media platforms while he was still in office. Yet, somehow, he turned the narrative around. His campaign wasn't just about policies, it was about defiance, about standing up to a system that many Americans felt had abandoned them. And I also think it's absolutely crucial to mention that this man survived a bullet to the head, literally within a millisecond of death, to be where he is right now. As if that wasn't enough, there was later a second attempt on his life. Yet, even in the face of such danger, Trump didn't waver. The image of him standing up, blood streaming from his ear, pumping his fist and shouting, "Fight," is a moment that will live in infamy, standing shoulder to shoulder with Teddy Roosevelt's legendary defiance after his own assassination attempt. It's more than a testament to Trump's physical resilience. It's a symbol of his indomitable spirit and his refusal to back down, no matter how far his enemies are willing to go. Today's inauguration isn't just a swearing in, it's a full-blown cultural reset. For Trump supporters, this is the ultimate underdog story. The forgotten Americans are finally getting their victory lap. To them, this moment isn't just about politics. It's about sticking it to the elites who've ignored, mocked, and dismissed them for years. It's like the ultimate revenge arc in a reality show, except this one ends with an Oval Office, not a rose ceremony. On the flip side, Trump's critics are losing their minds. The media is clutching their pearls. Think pieces about the death of democracy are already scheduled to publish, and AOC's out here tearing up like she just found out bottomless mimosas got canceled. Actually, you don't have to take my word for it. Here's AOC with her totally reasonable reaction to Trump being inaugurated.
Well, we are on the eve of an authoritarian administration. This is what 21st century fascism is starting to look like. Republicans really model themselves after Orban's Hungary. And so you can look to see how Viktor Orban runs Hungary to get a taste of how they will try to govern and control media and companies in the United States. And this is kind of an entree to that. As far as what we do, this is a time of experimentation. A lot of people will still use platforms, can still use platforms, but I also look towards places where you have more ownership as well and develop your audiences there. Like Blue Sky, you own your audiences at protocol. Decentralized protocol, newsletters, email.
I challenge AOC to go just one day over the next 4 years without having a self-induced meltdown over so-called 21st century fascism. But let's be honest, she won't. The spotlight's too addictive and she thrives on the drama. That's why she's out here claiming Trump's inauguration is the beginning of an authoritarian regime, throwing in a Viktor Orban comparison for good measure, and, of course, tossing around the F word, fascism. Let's unpack all this. If Trump is supposedly an authoritarian, someone should really clue in the courts, Congress, and the media because they spent years treating him like their personal piñata. According to the Washington Post, Trump faced more lawsuits challenging his policies than any other modern president. And last I checked, dictators don't spend their time losing battles in courtrooms. If Trump was going full authoritarian, as AOC claims, he definitely forgot to tell the judiciary. Now, the Viktor Orban comparison. Orban's Hungary is criticized for controlling the media and judiciary. Meanwhile, here in the United States, Trump couldn't even get a friendly headline, let alone control a media narrative. According to Pew Research, 62% of media coverage about Trump during his first year was negative, compared to just 20% for Biden. A state-controlled media? Please. Trump couldn't even control his own Twitter feed because, as you'll remember, he literally got banned while he was still in office. Then there's a claim that Republicans want to control the media and companies. Really, AOC? This from the left that writes love letters to big tech, begging them to censor misinformation? According to the Wall Street Journal, Democrats sent over 100 letters to platforms like Facebook and Twitter between 2020 and 2022, politely politely asking them to silence opinions they didn't like. Meanwhile, Trump was over here deregulating businesses and slashing taxes. According to the Heritage Foundation, his policies reduced compliance costs for businesses by $220 billion. Fascists usually tighten their grip on the private sector, not loosen it. And let's talk about AOC's decentralization pitch. She wants people to move to platforms like Blue Sky for more audience ownership. But let's be honest, her fears about censorship aren't because of Trump. According to the New York Times, it's her Silicon Valley friends who've been playing Big Brother, banning and restricting conservative voices left and right. If anyone's nervous about free speech, it's not Trump fans. It's people like AOC realizing their grip on big tech is slipping. Now onto her favorite buzzword, fascism. Fascism, as historians like Robert Paxton define it, involves merging state and corporate power and suppressing dissent. But Trump's entire platform was about reducing government overreach and empowering individuals. Deregulation, tax cuts, and giving more power to the states, that's the exact opposite of fascism. According to the Brookings Institution, democracies thrive on open criticism, which, ironically, AOC is doing at the very top of her lungs. So if, according to AOC, Trump is truly a fascist, it's starting to sound like he's the worst one in history. And finally, let's just state the obvious. AOC is freely ranting about all of this without a single repercussion. She's tweeting, posting, emailing, and hosting live streams like she's trying to win a podcast award. If Trump were really an authoritarian, wouldn't she be, censored, arrested, writing her complaints on the back of a napkin in some underground bunker? Instead, she's thriving on Instagram and Twitter and X and Blue Sky, wherever the hell she's at, and proving her own fear-mongering wrong in the process. It's a classic self-own that liberals just can't stop doing to themselves. So no, this isn't the eve of fascism, authoritarianism, or whatever buzzword is trending this week. It's just another day in American democracy where you're free to say whatever you want, even if it's wildly over the top, inaccurate, and unequivocally defamatory. Ultimately, today feels like a turning point. Trump's inauguration isn't just the start of a new term, it's a reset button for America. After years of endless division, hateful rhetoric, mostly from the left, and the constant demonization of this man, we're standing on the brink of something good. Honestly, as someone who supported Obama for the first time around, this feels oddly familiar, but way better. With Obama, it was all hope and change. But once he got into office, it turned out the hope was false and the change was disappointing. With Trump, we know exactly who he is. There's no guessing, no surprises. We know how he operates, what he's capable of, and that he actually delivers. This time, the hope feels solid, less like a catchy bumper sticker and more like a real plan. America needs strong leadership, and Trump is exactly the kind of guy to provide it. Sure, the left and the media will undoubtedly try to turn the next 4 years into another circus. I can already hear the overly dramatic headlines and the MSNBC panels hyperventilating. But here's the difference. Americans have caught on to their tactics. We've seen the lies, the manipulation, and the constant breaking news that turns out to be nothing. This time around, the public isn't buying into the hysteria. Now, personally, I feel hopeful. Barring any wild curveballs from the Democrats, Trump has the goodwill of the people and enough allies in Congress, the Senate, and the Supreme Court to actually get things done. The foundation is there for a decade of prosperity, and I'm ready to see it happen. And let me tell you, I'm especially looking forward to the bigger battles. We're going to turn California red and then Los Angeles red. Because let's face it, my town and state are crying out for new leadership. Trump's first term was about shaking things up. This second term, it's about rebuilding. And it's going to be one hell of a ride. But you tell me what you think in the comments down below. Hope you have a terrific day. Peace.